This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother-sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, along with our latest movie or show review, and what we're getting into next. We are your hosts,
Cheryl
and Jay.
Okay, so this week we watch Monkey Man, which is a hotly talked about movie that premiered at South by Southwest earlier this year, but it officially was released in theaters this week. So are you ready for your trivia that you probably already know the answer to?
Sure.
All right, so Dev Patel, who is the lead actor and also the director of this movie, said that he was inspired by Korean movies, Bollywood titles, and tales that his godfather told him as a child. But he also said he was inspired by one actor in particular's movies. Who is that actor?
Keanu Reeves?
No, he's not white.
Oh, wait.
Also known for making these types of movies.
So wait, what kind of actor is he inspired by?
He's an actor, but he was known as something else before he was an actor.
Like a stuntman?
Closer. Okay, you in the right kind of realm. He's like known as an actor, but he's also known as something else. He's also deceased.
Oh. Bill Paxton? No, there's nothing Bill Paxton.
That is so
about
random. Is that your final answer?
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
Bruce Lee.
I don't see any of that. In
Really?
this. No, not really.
You were probably well more knowledgeable than me about Bruce Lee movies. So if you say no, then yeah, he said he was inspired by Bruce Lee movies, Korean movies, Bollywood titles, and tales from his grandfather.
Bruce Lee movies. Interesting.
You know, I saw somebody else who said that this movie reminded them more of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, which I could see.
Yes, I could see that. Now, I would have guessed Arnold Schwarzenegger before you said dead.
Oh, that was a key part I had to add in there because you could have went on forever and ever.
I was going to say, like, this falls along the line of, like, Predator 1.
Okay.
Or, like...
True Lies.
True Lies.
This ain't no True Lies.
No, I'm saying it's shot like a True Lies.
Okay.
Like there's action scenes and there's like
story
scenes of women in uncomfortable situations.
Okay.
Like Jamie Lee Curtis.
That would have been an interesting guess. So I'm glad I got you off that rail.
Yeah. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was known for more than just acting.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So let's get into our episode.
Welcome, fellow movie buffs. I'm Jay.
I'm Cheryl.
Listen in as we break down movie and TV shows, tell you what's in the plot, and hear if we think you should have watched it when you had the chance.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, so this week for our agenda today, we've got a couple casting news. We got 2 new movies that were announced to be in the works, and then we'll get into our section of the trailer park, which has 2 cars in it, and then Buncha Crunch. I almost said the old name because I need to update it on our agenda, but we still do have Buncha Crunch, and then we'll get into our review for Monkey Man.
All right.
People hate remakes, but I'm kind of in favor of this one.
Yeah.
So, Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman are set to star in a remake for War of the Roses, which is if you've never seen it, pause. Well, don't stop this show, but watch it after you finish listening.
It's very good.
It is a classic. It is from I actually think I meant to put 1980. Now, originally starred Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. And something I didn't know until I looked this up to prepare for the show today. It was directed by Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I did not know that, but it makes sense.
It is because it's
having seen it.
It is a dark comedy, so it is very much about, well, the synopsis is the Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner are a married couple who hate each other. I think one of them decides that they want a divorce, but it really turns into like, you can't leave me or I'm going to kill you type situation.
Yeah, because doesn't Danny DeVito play their lawyer? Like their attorney?
Maybe.
Like their divorce attorney or
It's
something?
definitely worth a rewatch now that I know a remake is coming.
Yeah.
But it's a good movie. It's a classic. That's why I say I know people like, we're tired of remakes, but this one feels worth it. It's been several years at this point. It's not like something they're trying to remake that's only a decade old. So the remake is going to be directed by Jay Roach. That did not sound familiar to me off the top of my head, but when I looked him up, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Because he directed the Austin Power movies, Meet the Parents, and Meet the Fockers. Yeah. Also, I don't know if all the Austin Powers are classics.
The first 2.
And
Absolutely.
then
love Beyonce, but not that third one.
Love Beyonce down, but no, not that. I don't think that one's a classic. But Austin Power movies are pretty classic, and then also Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers, I think, are both well loved. So
also, Sean Astin played the son, and he is Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I really need to watch that movie over because I bet everybody looks different. And then the script, so we also have not only the director and the actors, but the script will be written by Tony McNamara, I think I'm saying that right, who was recently nominated for an Oscar for his script for Poor Things. So they're not playing around. We got 2 notable actors, we got a notable director, and we have a Oscar-winning, or sorry, he didn't win the Oscar-nominated script writer. So I'm looking, we didn't get anything about when this is coming out. It's coming out via Searchlight. But I'm looking forward to it just because I really liked Olivia Colman most recently in Secret Invasion. So I'm just more. That's
interesting. So yeah.
More Olivia Colman, please.
Tony McNamara has a pretty good filmography. He also wrote Cruella.
Oh, I liked Cruella.
With Emma Stone.
I like that.
Who went on to just win Best Actress.
Oh, so there's some sort of combo here because she also just won Best Actress for Poor Things.
And Poor Things. And he also wrote The Favorite, which starred Olivia Colman, which she won the Oscar for Best Actress with. So, yeah. He's a good writer.
Are we getting a War of the Roses Oscar contending movie? I'm not mad about that. Anything you put Benedict Cumberbatch in, he's always interested in. So
absolutely.
Matrix 5 is in the works, which everybody's first reaction was, why?
They
Why
can
would we do this?
super keep it. I think they got very lucky with the fact that The Matrix 4 was so bad, everybody wrote it off or
didn't watch it.
They lucked out when The Matrix 4 was so bad that everybody just agreed to act like it never happened, and nobody talks about it. It never comes up in conversation. It's never referenced. It's never even parodied, which is interesting because
the original Matrix,
all of the original Matrixes are parodied. This one just had Matrix 4 had zero impact, so they should have left it alone.
So when the news came out that Matrix 5 was in the work, everybody was kind of like, can we not? The director and the writer for this new movie will be Drew Goddard. Drew Goddard is known for writing Cloverfield. Yeah, he got some good stuff though. Yeah. Cloverfield, The Cabin in the Woods, World War Z, which I do not think I have seen, The Martian. He also directed Cabin in the Woods and Bad Times at El Royale. So people like his work. I think people are kind of nervous about bringing back The Matrix because of how bad 4 was received. And I also saw that some people said they didn't even like 3.
They failed to stick the landing on.
Right. Spoiler alert for The Matrix. At the end of the trilogy, I'm not talking about 4 because we're going to act like 4 don't exist. The Matrix wasn't over. The Matrix still existed. And to me, it was kind of we didn't set through 3 movies and for this thing to still be in existence.
At the end of the 3rd one, I think the machines and the humans basically came to a compromise. And
it was
if you give us Neo, we'll leave y'all alone or something.
Get that junk out of here. Yeah. So some people didn't like 3, so they kind of already checked out. And then 4 just kind of cemented the checking of the out. So now 5 were why are we doing this? Apparently Goddard approached WB to make the movie, and it's not something WB was even advocating to do, which is, I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. I'm not really sure because they have the rights. So they either sit on the rights and do nothing, or somebody comes up and says, hey, I got a new idea. Can I make this movie? And they must have liked it enough to give him the budget and the money and the go ahead to do it.
So he's got a lot of hits. Cabin in the Woods, I've seen, had a
People talk about that a lot.
It was really, really good. It's a play on The Evil Dead.
Oh.
But the twist is that it's set up by an organization that picks teens and puts them in these situations.
Chris Hemsworth was in this, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right.
So the movie, it's a 2 planes of action. In one part of the movie, you're following the cast as they go through Evil Dead scenarios, and the other part of the movie, you're in a control room, and it's the comedy aspect, kind of like The Office.
Cloverfield is also well talked about.
People
Martian.
love The Martian.
Right. The Martian was with Matt Damon. Mm-hmm. World War Z was with Tom Cruise. So he's
was that Tom Cruise or was that Brad Pitt? That's a zombie movie.
Brad Pitt. Yeah. Sorry, wrong prominent actor there. I thought they were going to do a sequel for that, but
I think it's
probably don't need it.
It's been stuck in development.
Well, I don't. We'll see. Yeah. I think this could be potentially good if they take Like, don't do a continuation because we've already seen what a continuation looks like with 4.
I don't even know where they would pick up at.
Just start from before the first Matrix.
Yeah, some people said that it should be a prequel because the Matrix 4 ended it put everybody in such a weird place where now you have Trinity and Neo are both the one.
And it's only supposed to be 1-1.
What's the threat then? Because,
right, because they got rid of the dude.
Because Agent Smith is back around, but I guess he's reincarnated into like a different program. They really botched it. But
so either a prequel or they do something where there's a storyline that happened in the between of the movies that we didn't see. Yeah. That was not Neo-centered. Yeah. Which I don't know how they'll make that interesting, but they could. I mean, there's a billion other... I don't know about a billion.
And they didn't bring Morpheus back and also didn't give a good enough reason for why he was replaced with Yahya.
That is very true.
And then didn't give Yahya much to do.
No, they did not.
So the Wachowski sisters won't be returning to this as a duo. Only Lana Wachowski will be returning to executive produce it. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of seems like WB was like, you botched it. And we'll let you still make money off of this by giving you like an EP credit, but we're definitely having somebody else make this movie.
Thoughts and prayers.
Julia Garner has been casted as a female Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four film that's coming into the MCU.
Woo, I like this, by the way.
Garner is said to be playing a different surfer by the name of Shala Bal, who was the lover of Norn Rat. Norn Rat is the Silver Surfer.
As everybody knows from the movies.
Yeah. He's had a lot of love interest. His main, she isn't even like a main one. His main one is like this random girl from Earth who wears like a ladybug pattern dress. Every superhero's main love interest is a non-powered human woman
from Earth.
Right, from Earth. So this Shala Bao, she's like a one-off love interest.
Okay,
she's kind of like the Spider-Man and Black Cat thing. Black Cat was attractive because they both had superpowers, but he was really in love with Mary Jane.
Of course, the non-powered woman from Earth.
Right. But it also, I heard it's supposed to take place in a different universe.
That is what, so there was also, I can't think if it was the same day or the next day or the day after. On the 4th, a poster of, what's his name?
Human Torch?
Thank you. Yes. Came out. And I think it was a fan art, but Marvel officially posted it. Mm-hmm. And in the background of him is like a very futuristic, people were saying New York. Mm-hmm. So it does seem to confirm that this movie will not be taking place on the current MCU timeline, which is what we've been guessing.
Yeah. So I think Shala Bao, this Silver Surfer, is going to be the Silver Surfer for a different universe, in the multiverse. So it doesn't have to be Norn Rat. Norn Rat could still exist somewhere else. Or,
I mean, we are in the
Or we've already seen him, so we don't have to see him again.
Right. Because the discourse was all like, why would you need to make a female Silver Surfer? Y'all always gender bend and blah, blah, blah. And everybody was like, hold up.
It's a multiverse. They're all from different places.
And in the comics, she existed.
You
could never use that argument if the person existed in the comics. It just automatically
And most of them have always existed in the comics.
Right.
Just because they failed to use them as often doesn't mean that precedent wasn't set.
Right.
But Julia Garner is known for being an Ozark, where she won 3 Emmys, and Inventing Anna, when she received an Emmy nomination for as well.
So she can act.
Yeah, she can act. Most of the people who know who she is were really excited.
Yes.
Most of the people who don't know who she is at all were the only ones who had an issue. But people who know her acting ability seem to be very excited about it. Galactus is still believed to be the main villain, but hasn't been casted yet.
Has it been leaked?
Yeah, the rumor mill is that it's Javier Bardem, and I think that's an excellent choice.
Take that man.
Javier Bardem playing opposite to Pedro Pascal. Yeah, that's a great choice.
Yeah.
Also,
I like it.
I also think that this is going to end with the universe being destroyed.
Now. I think people are already trying to guess this whole movie because you saying that one of the scoopers, Daniel RPK, somebody had made a tweet that basically said, like, what if the end of the movie is that he consumes the universe? And he quote tweeted it with like the eyeball emoji. And I was like, man, y'all ain't gonna let this movie just play out. You're gonna get spoiled.
Well, Galactus does not eat the universe.
He eats just worlds?
He eats just planets. He's the world eater.
Okay.
But I think that it can end with him eating the planet because, one, you can't tease it and not follow through on it. We need to now see a world be consumed.
Okay.
2,
That's what he's known for.
It makes sense for why they would be displaced.
Yes.
And put into the main MCU.
Because they have to make it there eventually.
Yeah.
And you can't be like, oh, we just been chilling, you know, behind the scenes while Avengers been kicking butt. Like, you can't do that.
Or maybe they could change his powers, and this is going to lead into Secret Wars. Mm-hmm. Because in the original Secret Wars, I believe it was like the 70s or 60s version, Galactus was
the person
there. Well, he was kind of displaced like the rest of the heroes were. Okay. So I think it could end with their planet getting devoured or destroyed, and then they end up in the main MCU timeline.
I would like to see that on big screen.
I also think that could possibly happen with the X-Men.
Oh.
Because it seems like they're also in another universe.
They would have to be.
Yeah.
That would make sense. See, this coming together a little bit, piece by piece. I also like the fact that a villain is a female. I'm more pro female villains.
I mean, we don't know. Is she? We don't know if she's going to be like the villain Silver Surfer, or if she's going to be like anti-hero Silver Surfer.
Oh,
because in the Jessica Alba Fantastic Fours, it was Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay.
He voiced him.
Oh.
And remember, he turned on him. Mm-hmm, he came to prepare the world to be consumed. Yes. And then at the end, he fell in love with Sue Storm. And Sue Storm was like, don't let him eat us. And Galactus turned on. And that's always how Silver Surfer goes. But maybe she could just be evil.
Switch it up.
Yeah.
I mean, we already using a different version. Change it up.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Delroy Lindo has joined the cast of Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler's untitled vampire movie. I tweeted this article when it came out and said Delroy is collecting vampire films like Infinity Stones.
Listen, right, because he's also currently, as far as we know, still in Blade.
Yeah.
And please keep that man in Blade. I know everybody else leaving, but we need to keep Delroy.
Yeah, so he is joining this film. This is supposed to be like a period action film. Somebody
posted a casting call, and the pictures that they used in the announcement was like 1930s.
Delroy is known for his roles in Crooklyn, Clockers, Gone in 60 Seconds, Romeo Must Die, The Five Bloods, Harder They Fall, and a bevy of other
He's
movies.
Been in theater, he's been in TV, he's been in movie. I think my favorite role of his is still Crooklyn, though.
I really liked him in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I've never not liked him in anything.
Because he played a cop, didn't he?
Yes.
I
he
really
played
liked
the cop
him.
That was trying to figure out.
Because he was on there behind the whole movie.
Trying to figure out what Nicolas Cage and the team was trying to do.
Because he knew. He just couldn't catch him.
Yes.
That was the thing.
There's a scene in Gone in 60 Seconds where he shows up unexpected and they accidentally... They steal a car, but it's got drugs in it or something.
It's a marked car.
Yes.
It's a police marked car.
So they try to they're talking about the cars, and to get the drug, I think it's like cocaine, off the shop floor, they rev up the engine and they end up using the exhaust to blow the cocaine away. Yeah. And they're like, whew, good Lord, we made it.
Gone in 60 Seconds is such a good movie.
If you haven't seen any Delroy Lindo movies, you need to just go on down the filmography and watch them. But the ones we named are the ones we would suggest.
Also racking up jobs is Halle Bailey. She's been cast alongside Divine Joy Randolph, Oscar winner.
Hello.
In the upcoming coming-of-age musical that's based on Pharrell Williams' childhood. We talked about this an episode or two ago. She's joining the cast. This is going to be a musical.
Yes, I think it's a full-fledged musical.
Because this is the first known singer. Because I think Miss Randolph has a career. She started singing. Okay. And then she transitioned into acting. And Halle Bailey started singing. And then now she's transitioned into acting.
But she still need to keep singing. She got an album coming out, I think, next Friday.
I'm not a musical person, so I'm not super excited about it, but the cast list is rounding out really well.
I might just support just cause.
Holly did really, and I might have to do that. Holly did really great in The Color Purple.
Yes.
Have not seen The Holdovers, but it's still on my watch list as soon as I find the opportunity to do it. And
I saw Little Mermaid 4 times.
Oh, yeah. And Little Mermaid. So, yeah.
Now, the plot sounds interesting. I don't know how much.
I think you know what? I think more than just not being interested in the musical part of it, I don't need to hear about Pharrell Williams' childhood.
I think it's going to be I think they're using that as a setup, but it's going to be your typical boy coming of age type movie, type musical, which is not really different from other movies. They just turned that story into a musical.
I need to see the trailer.
You're right. And hear a song list, because that's probably going to be popping.
Jodie Comer is in talks to star alongside Cillian Murphy in the 28 Years Later sequel, which is a sequel to 28 Weeks Later, which is a sequel to 28 Days Later.
Correct. Yep.
Jodie Comer has been in a bunch of stuff. She previously starred in Killing Eve TV show, which really upset people in the way it ended.
Yes.
But she was also in Free Guy, and she will also star in The Bike Riders should that ever come out.
It's coming out, I think, next month or this month.
Did it switch studios?
Yeah, remember Disney sold it and somebody else picked it up. And now whoever picked it up is not putting it out.
That's troubling.
I listen.
For Disney to be like, we don't want it.
That is.
After a lot of stuff that Disney has put out.
Right.
Yeah, but okay.
I really like Free Guy. You were right about Killing Eve. People was hot about how it ended. It was given, I didn't watch Killing Eve, but it was one of those shows that was always on the timeline when it came out. I also didn't watch Game of Thrones, but it was always on the timeline. So the level of pissed offness about the ending was
Who was she in Game of Thrones?
No, I'm saying the level of how people were mad, those fans were mad at how that ended was on Game of Thrones level, in my opinion.
Production is rumored to start in May. And Cillian Murphy is rumored to return as the lead, but he is confirmed to be an executive producer of the film. I like that Cillian Murphy still attaches himself to like the films that started his blockbuster career. He's in the 28 Days Later. He's going to be in 28 Years Later. He was in The Quiet Place Part 2.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He replaced Jim as the lead. So it's him and Emily Blunt in The Quiet, and Jaimin Hansu.
I need to watch those.
In The Quiet Place
I
Part 2.
know I don't need to before we see day one, but I feel like I should.
Yeah, you don't have to because it's a prequel.
Right.
Yeah. So I like the fact that he seems to do all types of movies, not just dramas. Let's get into the trailer park.
All right. We have just two. We got a new trailer, a long trailer. It was like 3 whole minutes for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which comes out May 10th. So we're about to get into that 30-day window. So they're about to ramp up promotion for this. Did we get a trailer for this before?
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
Monkey Man? I can't remember.
We did not.
Okay.
No.
But we got it before whatever we saw before Monkey Man. Anywho, they ramping it up. They about to start putting out little clips. I'm about to get into I'm not watching anything else about this movie, period. Because then they going to start releasing like, here's a sneak peek and here's a behind the scene. I don't want to see all that. So let me just wait till the movie come out.
So before this trailer dropped, the news also dropped that the movie is supposed to be 2 hours and 25 minutes.
2:25.
Yikes.
It's pushing it.
That's a long time.
It is the longest of the it will be the longest of the franchise, which is saying something.
Is this going to be the
for
last
a movie
one?
that has a franchise that has like 6?
This is like Return of the King length.
Yeah,
this should be the last one. But anyway, this second trailer basically just gives us some story because the first one doesn't. It just gives us like scenes of dialogues and some action clips. But basically in this version, in this sequel to the Planet of the Apes franchise, this is going to be not Caesar, but Noah.
Yes.
Noah is the main ape.
I don't think Caesar is known or nearly as prominent in this movie because it's so far in the future.
Yeah, it's so far in the future, they don't even have accurate depictions of human history. So basically, Noah has befriended a human girl, and this world has already been conquered by apes. Apes are enslaving and capturing humans.
It seems like there's a law to capture humans.
Yeah.
They say that in the trailer.
So it's original recipe Planet Apes. They're enslaving humans. But Caesar, or killing. I'm going to keep doing that.
I'm not really sure.
Or killing.
Killing or capturing.
I'm going to keep confusing Noah and Caesar. But Noah is basically helping this human girl.
We don't know doing what, though.
It seems like they are working towards liberating the humans. Because it's so far removed from history.
Yes.
And the trailer is narrated. It's so far removed from like human ape history that they don't have text or anything that says like this is what the world was like before. All they have is like pictures and structures and artifacts and whatnot. So the apes have some of the apes have surmised that long ago humans and apes lived in harmony, walking side by side.
Not on this version of Earth.
They don't know that. These apes don't know that they used to not be super intelligent.
Right. Well,
they're unaware of the virus that outbroke. They just think evolution caused humans to regress, but caused apes to progress. They don't know about the virus that killed humans but made the apes smarter.
Right. Yeah. Because this is supposed to set up a new trilogy, I believe. So I don't.
Wow, with the longest entry.
Hey, they say if you stick around for 2.5 at the beginning, you'll stick around for anything less after that. I feel like.
So this new ape protagonist, Noah, is trying to help free the humans. The girl. Mm-hmm. But I think by extension, the humans. Mm-hmm. While there is another leader, Proximus Caesar, mm-hmm. who is trying to learn more.
Sure.
It's almost like, what's that Forrest Whitaker movie?
Oh, wow.
Where he was the crazy king.
Oh, really? You think it's like the last king of Scotland?
That's what Proximus Caesar seems like.
Okay, that's a little aggressive.
I mean,
think he's chopping people.
I mean, we don't know yet, but I don't think he's going to chop up Kerry Washington in this movie. But
the Kerry Washington of this movie, right?
Proximus Caesar kind of reminds me of Forrest Whitaker in The Last King of Scotland.
That is
where
scary.
he's friends with Noah.
Yeah,
but
he turns on him.
And the thing about The Last King of Scotland is he was friendly, but he was really scary and intimidating in his friendliness, and he wanted to be smarter and he wanted to know more.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it seems like the danger in this film. The real threat is going to be knowledge.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, well.
Because they don't know the truth about history.
Right.
And I think that's going to come out in this film.
I like the way you're thinking there. That comparison is frightening, but I like the way you're thinking.
Because he was, yeah. I would never get chopped up Kerry Washington in a bathtub out of my head.
Anybody ever will. Like, ever. That movie was crazy.
It was.
Next trailer we have is for Cuckoo. Is that how you said it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Cuckoo, like crazy.
Okay. It is a horror movie starring Hunter Schafer, who was previously in, I know her best from Hunger Games. But she
played Tigress.
Yep, she was also, I think her most notable role is Euphoria. But she is in this horror movie. It's coming out August 9th. The trailer is very much, it starts off thinking it's just like a psychological kind of movie. Like she runs into like this family that's really odd and strange in this resort. And then she starts working at the resort, but then real creepy things start happening. But it does seem to be some sort of supernatural element.
Yeah, so the synopsis says 17-year-old Gretchen reluctantly leaves America to live with her father at a resort in the German Alps. Plagued by strange noises and bloody visions, she soon discovers a shocking secret that concerns her own family. I think it's mental illness. I think that's why it's called Cuckoo. I think she is inherently nuts.
But she's not the 17-year-old, right?
She's the 17-year-old, even though she's not 17. She plays the 17-year-old. Well,
but it didn't seem like in the trailer she was with a family. It seemed like she was by herself.
Yeah, that was her family.
Oh.
I don't know why in the trailer, when we first see her parents are like sitting in the car and then she's outside the car.
Okay, that's what threw me off.
But
okay.
Yeah, Dan Stevens is supposed to be her stepfather.
Got you. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, not her stepfather, her father.
Okay.
And I think Jessica Henwick, who also stars in this, who's from Iron Fist and a bunch of other stuff. She was also in The Matrix 4, sadly.
Right.
She's supposed to play like her stepmother.
Okay.
Yeah. This family moves to the German Alps, and basically the movie follows Hunter Schafer as she's living here in this strange town with these strange neighbors.
It's given very much a horror video game.
There's something, clearly there's something weird that happens every night at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Where they have to lock the doors. She seems to be the only person who hears like screaming in the forest or sees like these strange ghoulish figures around town. And everybody else is talking to her like, girl, what's wrong with you?
She looked pretty banged up at some point in the trailer. I don't know whether she get beat up or falls down a hill, a tree, or something, but she seems to be not believed by everybody else in the movie. And
the synopsis says that whatever is going on in this town or in this movie is connected to her family. So I think the twist is that she's nuts and maybe it's her. It's like Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Fight Club. She's Brad Pitt. She could be Brad Pitt. She could be the one doing everything.
I like that. Although now that you figured it out, I'm kind of like, oh, okay.
I still want to see it because I'm not sure if that's actually what's going to happen.
You just be figuring out movies. I'm like, oh, well, guess I don't need to see. No, I'm just playing. It looks like a horror movie for the non-horror person, which would be me.
This already came out and cycled the film festival.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Circuit. Yeah. Okay. It is 102 minutes.
Okay.
So an hour and 42 minutes.
I like it.
It has a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes out of 25 critic reviews.
That's not horrible.
With an average rating of 6.1 out of 10 on Metacritic. So, but it's also a horror film.
Right. So people, those don't automatically get like 90s and 80s out the bed.
And that's because horror films are meant to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And horror films usually don't satisfy people in the end.
No.
So that's why horror films usually score lower, because the ending usually doesn't satisfy everybody.
You'd be like, oh, for real?
Right.
They still in the dungeon?
Especially if the horror film is like the main character is doomed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to think like,
I think
they're still in the dungeon, they're stuck in the basement, they buried alive. You're like, oh, for real?
Nicole Kidman killed her kids and they're all dead.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know, you'd be like, yeah, I'm really upset right now. And the movie's over.
So this movie comes out on August 9th, 2024. Depending on whether or not there's enough interest in it, we might review it on the podcast, but I might check this out anyway, just because it's coming out around spooky season.
And you like horror movies.
I do.
So cup of coffee.
I do.
Next up is Buncha Crunch. So this is where we renamed Quick Bits. So these are just little bite-sized bits of news. Something happened with Disney, some sort of like event or whatever, because a bunch of release dates came out all at once one day. So The Mandalorian Grogu will be coming out May 22nd, 2026. So all these movies, well, not all of them. I was about to say, all these movies are coming out in 2 years. So they're
not soon.
Not right. These are not.
None of them are soon.
These are not 2024 releases.
Don't worry about trying to pencil in on your calendar, figure out your schedule.
Absolutely not. So the Mandalorian Grogu movie, which is based off of the Mandalorian show that's currently on Disney Plus. I think this is one of the first times they've ever taken a show, Disney Plus show, and turned it into a full movie. So that'll be interesting to see if you're going to have to watch all of the Mandalorian to watch this. Grogu gonna sell like hotcakes anyway, so it don't really matter.
That's interesting. Yeah, you probably will have to have watched.
You're gonna have to know. They're gonna have to do something in the beginning of the movie to kind of wrap up all 3 seasons.
They're gonna do that. They're gonna do that thing that they do with the Marvel characters, where they give them like a 30-minute special.
Yeah, they could do that.
Like they did that for all the characters before their movies or their Disney Plus series.
And one thing about The Mandalorian was it was very much kind of like Law and Order, where like every episode was kind of something different, and there was like an underlying theme. So they might be okay. It's a Memorial Day weekend movie, so it's probably they kind of get that. They're trying to get that summer blockbuster hit for sure.
Giancarlo Esposito said he wanted to come back, and they should do that.
Can he? I'm not.
If he says he wants to come back, then he knows enough to know that he's still around in some capacity. I think that. Okay, we're gonna do maybe Mandalorian spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Because isn't Giancarlo Esposito's character isn't Moff Gideon a clone, or it's implied that he's cloned?
He was trying to clone himself, but they blew up all his clones. They got rid of him, and then they killed him.
Well, maybe Moff Gideon himself is a clone. It's kind of like
Palpatine.
When Palpatine was controlling the dude that Kylo Ren was working for. And you find out that Palpatine had like a bunch of tanks of them.
Yeah. But they got rid of Moff Gideon's tanks and then killed off Moff Gideon.
But we don't know if that's the original Moff Gideon.
All right. Maybe he's going to turn into Darth Vader and he's scarred up somewhere. And somebody going to put a suit on him and he or
maybe it's Palpatine.
You know what? Mandalorian Grogu is coming out Memorial Day of 2026. Followed by a month later, we will get Toy Story 5, which comes out June 19th, 2026. We don't have any story. We ain't got no plot. I think we know that Tom Hanks and Tim Allen are returning, but I don't think we know anything else about who's coming back for the voice cast. It's so far in the future.
It's so far in the future.
We just gonna have to wait on it and see. Moana, the live action movie, is going to come out a month after that. So it's going to be a full summer of Disney.
And they're also doing a Moana 2.
What?
Yeah.
Like the cartoon?
Yeah, they're doing a Moana 2 and a Moana live action 1. Where the Moana 2 is supposed to be set. They released images of the animated
you're right.
sequel where she looks older because it's supposed to take place like 2 to 3 years after the end of the first one.
I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah. It's too, and I'm sure a lot of other people did not because you can't do a sequel and a live action simultaneously.
Do I have this note wrong? Are we sure we're getting both of those? You're right.
Yeah.
You are very right about that. Okay, so it'll be a Moana summer potentially. I'm not sure. We do have a date for the live action, and that'll be July. So Mando and Grogu, May. Toy Story, June. Moana, July. Disney, like, we cutting on everybody's necks. Because I'm sure in between all of that, there's going to be at least a Marvel movie on the Marvel side.
It's still very strange. It's still
During
very
that summer.
confusing to do 2 Moanas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I don't think I'm watching either of them.
Why?
We like animation. I will see Toy Story 5.
Absolutely.
And I'm
It's too late. I'm too ingrained in the Toy Story
skipping
lore.
4, never going back, but I will watch 5.
4. So you're gonna have no idea.
Y'all told me. I've been told.
Okay.
Thank you. I have been told
you don't
what
have
happens.
the emotional investment. And
I
think
don't
that's
need
cheating.
it because
That's cheating, but okay.
y'all gave it to me. And then another movie that got announced that is coming out next year is Tron Ares. We talked about this a couple episodes ago. That will be coming out in October of 2025. I feel like something else is coming out in October of next year, but
Scream.
oh, okay, that's not really super competition then in terms of audience. I'm sure there's something else coming out October 2025.
It says there's an untitled. The Bride is coming out October 2025. That's Maggie Gyllenhaal and Christian Bale's Frankenstein movie.
Which we got a couple images for this week.
There's going to be an untitled Blumhouse event film,
Ooh.
which is event film means big or crossover. So it could be Megan,
Okay.
or there is an untitled Warner Brothers film that's coming out October 24th of 2025.
Doom 3. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a wild guess. Interesting. Tron might have some competition, but once again, 2025, we're quite a bit away. James Mangold's Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi got a writer. It will be co-written by the House of Cards creator Beau Willimon. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay. He's not new to Star Wars. He wrote I think he wrote all of the first season of Andor, which people really like. Dawn of the Jedi is one of the 3 new Star Wars movies that got announced last year.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like kicking off Jedi stories in different time periods. So there's going to be another sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be the middle, which is the Disney Plus characters.
Yep.
And there's going to be a prequel series which is this.
Yes.
Which goes so far in the past that it doesn't matter to anything that's already come out.
The movie will trace the origins of the Force, and it's set 25,000 years before any other Star Wars project previously seen. So we like way back.
Yeah.
Which, did we know that the Force existed that long previously?
So this is going to be a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Alkalite is also a prequel.
That's a TV show.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
But it is a TV series.
Oh, but it's before.
But I think it's about the rise of the dark side.
Okay, that's why I said every time we talk Star Wars, I'm at to print out a list or timeline of all these different eras because we jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Mandalorian Grogu is going to be set in present time Star Wars because Grogu and Mando are fairly new, right?
They're before Rey.
Okay, they're before
But they're
Rey,
after the fall of the Empire.
which is
After Sidious's first death.
child. Okay, you know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I know.
I need a chart at this point. But the fact that it's a House of Card writer is a good sign. I don't know. I think James Mangold is also writing and directing this. So James Mangold has also been tied to the Thing movie for DC, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he all over the place, but I get money, so I ain't bad about it. Speaking of DC, Supergirl got a director. So the director for Cruella and I, Tanya, Craig Gillespie, is going to direct Supergirl for DC Studios. Supergirl has its writer now, it has its lead actress, and it now has a director. I think people were assuming that the director would also be a woman, but not so much, I guess.
Not necessarily. Not working under James Gunn.
Okay.
Not necessarily. No.
I assumed that it was going to be a woman, so I am people. When I say people thought it was, I am people. I thought he would just kind of, go with the, I don't know why not. Like, have the excess of Barbie where you had like a woman writer and director and woman. Okay, we'll see. I'm very middle of the road with Supergirl, so sure. Okay.
A lot of people have already had assumptions and preconceived notions about this movie based on the source material that James Gunn pointed out the movie is going to come from.
Because it's Supergirl, I think the tagline is Woman of Tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so a lot of people thought that it should have been Greta Gerwig.
It's a vengeance type movie, right?
Yeah, it's like Kill Bill, but for Supergirl.
Okay.
It's a good like comparison. Yeah, it's like
okay.
Kill Bill, but for Supergirl.
Now, if that actually is what coming to fruition, I'm more interested. But you've been predicting movies and how they gonna play out.
I didn't read the storyline.
Oh,
yeah.
But I say I would like this prediction if it actually played out.
I didn't read the storyline, but a lot of people thought that it should be like a woman director just because of the subject matter. But it's James Gunn.
So we'll see how that plays out. Yeah. I don't think we have anything about when this is coming out or when they're going to start filming. So we'll keep you guys up to date.
Cruella was really good.
Yeah.
So he did a good job on there. And Tanya didn't get any Oscars, but I think Allison Janney got a couple of Oscars for it.
Okay.
Or a couple of awards for it.
You're right.
And Margot Robbie got nominated. I think this is what put Margot on the map.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Correct. Okay. So sounds like it'll at least be in good hands directing Wes.
Absolutely.
That is it for all of our news. Now we're going to take a quick break and get into our review for Monkey Man.
Sweet. Okay, so we are back for our movie review segment, and this week we are reviewing Monkey Man. This movie came out to theaters April 5th, 2024. It is the directorial debut of Dev Patel, who is a known actor. He's been in a lot of other films, most notably The Green Knight, Slumdog Millionaire, and Lion.
Yes.
It has a runtime of an hour and 53 minutes. Cast list is not that long, but it includes a list of actors. Dev Patel, who plays the main character, Kid, or the Monkey Man.
Right.
Sharto Copley, Pito Bash, Vipin Sharma, Sikander Kerr, Sopita Dulapala, Ashwini Kausekar, Aditi Kaukunte.
I'm only laughing because you are doing this so much better than I would have. Oh my God. I would have been so bad at these.
Makarand Deshpande, Zakir Hussain.
That was great. That was excellent. We discussed.
I hope I didn't butcher anybody's names. I like to get people's names correct.
Listen, we discussed before we started back recording. I was like, okay, I'm about to butcher these, and you were like, I can do it. I was like, thank you.
I don't want to destroy these people's names.
It's all out of a good heart job.
Especially because I like the film. I want to do the respect
right.
of
If we got your name incorrect, we
correctly.
apologize, but we did our best.
It had a budget of $10 million and a box office currently of $4.3 million for Friday, and it has a projected domestic opening weekend of 10 to 12 million. So it's going to make its money back.
It should be. It's doing pretty good. I think it's doing pretty good.
It's doing pretty well. Currently, it's sitting with a cinema score rating of a B+, which is better than the first John Wick, which got a cinema score of just a solid B. It's on par with Kill Bill, The Kingsman, and The Beekeeper, though.
I don't know about that Beekeeper score. The rest of them, I believe. People are crazy if they thought The Beekeeper was the B. You know what? I can't say that. I ain't seen it. And I won't.
Y'all crazy. But
I'll say, and I won't see it.
Kill Bill was great. The King's Man, I think, was better than... Is this The King's Man or is this the King's Man? Like the first King's
you
Man?
caught me off guard.
They play with those.
So it is on par with The Kingsman, The Kingsman and the Golden Circle, Kingsman Secret Service. All those got B+.
Okay, cool. So that makes sense because those are all like enjoyable movies. I would say that's like a fun franchise. This movie is not fun, but it's along the lines of like a Kill Bill, maybe grittier.
Kill Bill's more fun than this too, just because of the subject matter of this
Kill
movie.
Bill, because it's Quentin Tarantino,
right? So it's not like dead set serious, and this one is definitely more dead set serious. Yeah, I would say that.
Rotten Tomatoes currently has a critic score of 86% and an audience score of 86% as well. So critics and audiences seem to be aligned on this.
I don't think I've seen that very often where they match exactly.
Unless it's like a Marvel event film.
Okay, you're right. You're right. They'll usually
like
both.
an Endgame or an Infinity War. Everybody loved those across the board.
You're right.
You don't usually see those with like independent films, which I would consider this to be an independent film.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just happened to be picked up by a streaming service and then happened to be picked up again by a studio because somebody else saw it.
Yeah. So 3 little fun facts about this film. The rights were originally purchased by Netflix for $30 million, but they gave up on the film after it was finished because they thought it wouldn't be accepted by Indian extremists and officials.
Netflix got scared.
Yeah, and they said its political undertones may have spooked the streamer.
Yeah, I pulled that from some article because I've been looking up about the behind the scenes of the movie, and Netflix was like, "Yeah, we can't touch this. We got to give it away."
That's interesting.
Which is basically what they did.
Jordan Peele also saw the film and got Universal to buy it for $10 million. It's strange because it seems like Netflix was just willing to take a $20 million cut.
Yeah, somebody did the math on how much Netflix make a month, and $20 million ain't nothing. It's pocket change.
That's interesting.
They all right.
But
they were enough where it kind of like, we don't want to touch this so much to the point where we're ready to lose $20 million on it.
Good on Jordan Peele. And it's currently not being shown in India, which if you see the film, I could see that.
Yes. The reason why Netflix didn't want to go with it and the fact that it's not being shown in India does mean Netflix had the right gut feeling about it in terms of, because I think also Netflix India is a large market. And they were kind of like, we're not going to be able to show this film on one of our largest markets. Like, we can't, what are we supposed to do with this?
Yeah. American movies are fine with you making movies that
they can
points out the negative parts about America.
Yes.
Or dumps on like the awful parts about it.
Mm-hmm.
Other countries don't like that.
Not so much.
And they're not as accepting at the they don't look, other countries don't like to look in the mirror.
No, right, which is slight sidebar, which is a lot of reason why some Marvel movies don't make it over in China.
Yeah, it's exactly why,
because Marvel used to like tinker to accommodate their requests, and then I think maybe the last whole phase they were like, no, we're not doing that, so they didn't get shown over there.
There are so many different people in America that it's okay to like make a movie and be like, America sucks.
It's true.
Yeah, because
sometimes,
it sucks, but it's other countries don't have that blend of different types of people, so they're kind of like in a unified mind of don't talk trash about us,
right? So, and sometimes it's not even necessarily the people; it's the government and the officials who are like, don't talk bad about us, but the people like, show it. I want to see it.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's currently not being shown in India. I think there was a tentative date, and that date has either come and gone or it's not solidified. One of the two. And
that doesn't make or break it. Like you said, Shang-Chi wasn't shown in China.
It was not.
Though it has specifically Asian subject matter, themes, and culture, and it was still well loved. It still made a lot of money, and it's getting a sequel. So, their sometimes
loss,
it's literally just their loss.
Get you a VPN.
Would you like to summarize the plot?
Yes. So Monkey Man is basically about Dev Patel's character. We don't get his real name. He goes by Kid. He's listed as Kid in the cast. He goes by Bobby in the movie, and he's also known as Monkey Man. So I'm just going to go with Bobby because that's what I want to use. Bobby is basically a adult who, as a child, his childhood village got burnt down by the villains of this movie. One of them is the main villain is a religious leader, which are like the worst of the worst. And he has his goons, and one of the goons burnt down his village. So it's basically a revenge movie because Bobby wants to get revenge on the goon and a political leader and anybody in between that come across him because his mom died. And the whole village got burned up, but in that, his mom also died. So it is a pure revenge movie from start to finish.
It's like a Kill Bill meets Batman.
Sure.
Like, he's Batman.
Yes.
Because his parents were killed.
And we don't see his dad at all in the movie, but his mom, and he's got it's just like a village you would find in any movie, essentially. It's an Indian village.
Yeah. Like, it's very realistic.
Okay.
One of my notes is I wanted to research to find out if some of the shots in this film, there's a lot of shots of like protest and like found footage and news coverage stuff with like riots and protests.
The answer is yes, some of it. Some of the video footage in the movie was from actual protests.
There's like depictions of like police brutality and displacement of people from their homes.
Yes.
And I thought that was really good. I wanted to I'm glad you answered that question because I really wanted to know whether this was like actual footage or not.
It doesn't say which parts are and aren't. It just says some of it did actually include actual footage.
Yeah. So Dev Patel's Monkey Man is kind of like Batman in a way where he lost his parents due to like political corruption and the police being like in bed with, there's no mob here, but there's like this guy who's dirty and he's like running everything behind the scenes with like religious belief.
I mean, he's kind of like,
he puts on a mask and takes up a mantra. He's
Right.
like a vigilante.
And the interesting is he's wearing this mask because he fights in an underground kickboxing fighting ring for money. And everybody has a mask over their face to fight. His is a monkey, but he also takes that mask and turns it when he goes into like the last fight of the movie, and he's kind of known as the Monkey Man at that point.
Yeah, it's like ECW wrestling.
ECW.
ECW is like the not underground, but it's like the WWE is like mainstream wrestling.
Yeah.
ECW is where you start before you get bumped up to like WWE.
It's a lot of it's a lot of blood
but it's ECW in the way it's staged.
Oh, yes, it is staged. You're right. You're right. It is not fair fighting in this situation. One of my notes says that the seedy underground knows no racial barriers.
It doesn't, because the wrestling is run by Sharlto Copley, and he is a white guy.
He's a I don't know if he's South African, but he's African in real life.
Caucasian.
There you go. I'm just saying where you from.
But he's Caucasian, but he's clearly in India to run this seedy underground wrestling, and he knows he has the ability to because race.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely he's clearly making the most money out of all the fighters and the people in the stands and stuff, because there's one scene where he opens up his locker and it's just like wads of cash.
Yeah, because he's like the white guy in India running this like wrestling rink, and he's using like all the people who are like, and they're actors because it's staged.
I mean, they're getting beat up, but
they're acting. But all the wrestlers are like Indians.
Right, down on their luck.
Who are down on their luck and who really need the money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be volunteering to get pummeled every night.
He makes a point of that to say, because Dev Patel, Bobby, he's not called Bobby at this point in the movie, but he was supposed to get a set amount of money. And he's like, where's the other half? And he's like, I got plenty of other people who will take your spot. Either you take this money and get out my face, or I'll find somebody else.
Because easiest job in the world is just sit and get beat up.
Basically. Yep. Let's talk about who we liked and didn't like in terms of acting. Any surprising performances? Anybody who stood out? Anybody who were like, cut this man from the movie?
I pretty much liked everybody. They didn't have... There was... it's not a small cast. It's a medium-sized cast. But you pretty much stick with Dev Patel most of the time.
Yes.
And so you don't spend a lot of time with like some of the side characters, so none of them are like annoying, and I don't feel like any screen time is wasted on them. I think that they were all used really well. My favorite like side character would be Queenie.
I know you're gonna say that.
Who was played by Ashwini Kausikar. She basically is... You didn't watch Gotham, so you didn't watch Jada Pinkett on Gotham.
I've seen a little bit of it.
She's like Fish Mooney, who is Jada Pinkett's character on Gotham, who runs the club.
I can see that.
She's like the low-level Carmine Falcone. And she runs the club. She runs this like prostitution ring of
like
girls.
A brothel, essentially.
Yeah, like a high-end brothel.
Yeah.
She has a restaurant on the main floor, and then the higher levels you go up, it gets more seedy and
it's kind of like in the Batman. The club where it was like...
I said this has a lot of Batman references.
Oh, it does?
In
Okay, yeah. So it was the regular club for us commoners, and then when you went to VIP, it got real...
Zoe Kravitz,
Yeah, it got real prostitution-y.
Yeah, where everybody was doing the drugs and hanging out with the prostitutes.
Exactly.
So I really liked her, and the reason I liked her is because I like a woman boss who's mean.
She's very mean.
Because it plays on the whole stereotype of like women in the workplace, if they're a boss, they're mean. It's like, well, she likes being mean. She enjoys being rude and tearing people down, and it's funny. So I liked her.
I liked her for the same reason. It is bad because she's an awful person in this movie.
She is.
And she deserves everything she would get. But she played the role really well.
She did.
She was just like, dang, she was a jerk, but then she did that thing where she like talk real down to you, and they'd be like, oh, it's okay, don't cry about it, but you need to get your life together, and you just be like, wait, hold on a second. I liked her. Dev Patel did really good. To be honest, I think this is the only movie I've seen with him. Like, I know who he is, but I didn't see Slumdog Millionaire or Green Knight, so I don't think I've seen him in anything else.
I think this will be like the closest to like this definitely had blockbuster advertising. I don't know if this is a blockbuster film, but this is like this is the most blockbuster advertising I've seen for a film that has it in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was good. Like you said, all the side characters we didn't spend a ton of time with, but there was nobody who was kind of like I would cut or I would change. So, and I kind of quickly looked at all the actors. They're all established Indian actors.
Yeah.
So that was cool that we basically got to see actors that we typically wouldn't see in what I'm going to call an American movie, and it was all good. So,
yeah.
What else? Do you have anything non-spoilery that you want in your notes? I will say there was a lot of talk. One of the descriptions of this movie is it's an Indian John Wick. Not true. False. I don't know who came up with that. I don't know if that's like an official from the movie people or if that's just what
I don't even know if
the entertainment space just came up with that.
Think somebody on Twitter kind of like did that and
maybe in a review. Okay.
Because of the one scene from the trailer of him fighting in the kitchen. Everybody's like, oh, this is John Wick.
Right. It's don't go into this expecting John Wick.
It's not.
And
other than the fact that he's wearing a suit and killing people, there are no similarities to John Wick at all.
Correct. I would say go into this movie and take out this about to be John Wick out of your brain. Don't do that. And that's not a negative about the movie. It's just not that. And they very much, whoever, I'm using they as a blanket term. It was very much described as an Indian John Wick, and it is not an Indian John Wick. It is his own. The movie's not anything different plot wise that we've never seen before.
No.
But it's also not John Wick.
No,
so just keep that in mind when you watch this.
And I think that it doesn't do the film justice when people compare it to John Wick.
Correct.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Like you had mentioned when we came out, John Wick, this has more story.
Way more story than John Wick.
Way more drama.
Yes.
Than
it's not a fun it's not fun.
Yeah, and John Wick is supposed to be you're supposed to be entertained by the intricate ways in which he kills people.
Yes.
There's not that much death in this movie, but none of it feels like a thrill ride.
Correct. You're correct about that. Another note I had that's non-spoilery, I like the setting and the environment of the movie. So the movie takes place in a fictional Indian. I think it's supposed to be like Mumbai, but it's not Mumbai. Mm-hmm. So I like the backdrop of where, he shows signs, or he shows us like the city and the town and how people are living. And then there's different, he eats Indian food and goes to the Indian street markets, mm-hmm. clubs and all that. So that it was nice to be in a movie where it's not just Gotham or New York or San Diego or Canada.
We like different settings. We were just talking about in Godzilla how he only attacks tourist destinations.
Right.
This was not. This was a new place.
Show us the mom and pop shop.
Right.
That was good. I like that about this movie. So cinematography, I would thumbs up.
Non-spoiler note, we talked about this does not compare to John Wick because it's not like John Wick at all. They're not similar, but John Wick does exist in this universe.
Yes, he does. You're right. I forgot about that.
John Wick is dropped as like a reference. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where Dev Patel goes to buy a gun, and the guy talks about how he has the same guns from the John Wick films.
He said John Wick film he said the gun was made in China.
Yeah.
So that was funny. You were right.
As far as how it's shot, all the action scenes I think a lot of the action scenes are kind of clunky. Like the way they're filmed.
Yeah.
And I think the way they're filmed in a lot of the fight choreo is a little clunky in the beginning, and I think that's supposed to be
on purpose
because it's leading up to the promo, Dev Patel talked about how they wanted to make the action sequences really realistic.
Oh, okay.
Really realistic, and they really wanted to do it in a way that separated itself from like every other action film that's out there.
That was funny. When I was trying to find trivia for this, I thought I saw something that said they ran out of budget, so they had to use iPhones and GoPros. So I don't know if that
maybe that's why.
I don't know if that was on purpose, and they were like, you know what, let's go with that. Let's play that up. Or
maybe that's why. Some of the camera tracking shots were a little weird, and some of the fight, and I don't know whether that made the fight choreo look weird or some of the fight choreo just looked a little weird. But maybe I did put that maybe that's because they set out to do it differently than like what we've seen in some other stuff.
Or budget.
Yeah. I don't think I have any other non-spoiler thoughts.
Let me see. No, I think I'm ready.
Yeah, and it's a pretty straightforward film.
Yes, like I said, it's not giving any type of brand new. I never thought of this before. So we're gonna go on spoilers in 3, 2, 1. This is straightforward in terms of we have a religious nutbag with a goon squad, and the police all under his payroll, and they are using God to destroy people's farms and villages and
build
either
corporations,
kill the people or displace all the people. And it's very, I don't want to call it predictable, but it was straightforward.
Yeah, it was very straightforward. The bad guys made a mistake by leaving the child alive, and the child grows up and is the one thing that takes them all down.
I have Namor backstory from Wakanda Forever. So if you've seen Wakanda Forever, you know that Namor, the colonizers came in and burnt Namor's village down. The difference here is Namor is a superhero, and Bobby in this movie is not. And that's kind of the only difference. And Namor has like this kind of revenge. He wants to take out Wakanda because he's like, you know, I need to enact my revenge. And y'all, what was Namor's motivation actually? I don't think about it.
Well, Namor's motivation was they just wanted to be left alone and
there
stop
it
people.
Is.
But
there it is.
But his origin, it's Bruce Wayne, it's Zoe Saldana and Colombiana. It's if you're gonna kill everybody, don't kill children. Don't kill people. But
they were ruthless.
Sparing the child will always come back to bite you.
And that's exactly what this movie is.
What this movie
and
was.
There's one, I'm just going to keep calling him religious nutbag. He actually says I think towards the end of the movie, he's kind of like, his goon says, oh, don't worry about it. It's just a kid, you know, we'll take care of it. It's the kid from the gutter. And he was like, I was a kid from the gutter. And he says, sometime an ember can turn into a flame. Yeah. So y'all need to make sure y'all take care of this kid.
Exactly.
And it's essentially what happens in the movie. Because Bobby goes off, gets trained, essentially. Another kind of typical plot line. And then he come back stronger.
Yeah, because we have like the movie opens with like a brief like monologue with him as a kid and his mom, and they're in the forest and they're telling the story about Hanuman, which is like their deity that they find strength in, which is where the monkey man comes from.
Yes.
And then after that, we jump right into adult Dev Patel, and he's already in the middle of doing his plan. He's working in these rigged boxing matches so he can make enough money so that he can
buy a gun, right?
So that he can buy a gun.
Right.
And he wants to get a job at Queenie's Hotel because he knows that's where the villain Baba Shakti frequents.
Yes.
So he knows if I get a job there, I can at least get in the building.
The villain and the guy who actually killed his mom.
And once I'm in the building, I can figure out how I'm going to kill these people after I've gotten that far. And that's pretty much exactly... The movie's on rails.
It is.
It doesn't like... We only side quest once, but it's a necessary side quest. But
you gotta have the training ground.
The movie's on rails, and you know exactly where it's going. It's a little bit of, once we get towards the end, like that third act, it gets a little bit Man on Fire-y. Yeah.
It's a lot of movie references.
And he says that he references,
way. It's not like, oh, this came, like you said, Batman or Namor. It's not like a cheap knockoff. Like, oh, he's just... It's not like Zack Snyder did when he incorporates movies. It's very much, you can tell he was inspired. So it's in a good way that we're referencing other movies with this movie.
Yeah, and it's in a different setting and entirely different characters. So it feels even more removed from what it's referencing. Okay. So was there anything that you liked or didn't like specifically about this movie?
I did not like... And I did not like a lot. So I'll start with that. The first 45 minutes, a little slow.
Yeah.
Pacing. So we do a lot of, and the reason why I say this is not like John Wick, because John Wick was already trained. John Wick already had a reputation. John Wick was known as like the boogeyman. Okay. And he was kicking butt all movie from start to finish.
Yeah.
Bobby is an amateur. I wouldn't even call, he's not an assassin by any stretch of the imagination.
He knows how to fight.
He knows how to fight in his boxing ring.
Like how to street fight.
Yes.
But he is not a martial artist.
He knows how to fight in his boxing ring. So as he's in that, we're seeing him get his plan together. And that take a little bit of time, right? Because you can't just walk in and shoot the guy. You got to go through fighting to get the money. And then we got to go through his plan to get a job at Queenie's. And then we got to go through how he's going to work his way up. And then we got to go through how he navigates and learn who's who in VIP. And then we got to learn how he trains a dog to bring him a gun because he walks through a metal detector every day. And then we got to get to the part where he actually finds, I can't remember what the goon's name was, the head goon in charge.
Baba Shakti?
No, who was the guy under him that actually killed his mom?
Rana.
He actually gets there, meets him in the bathroom, about to blast the dude's head off, but he's shaking like a leaf. Mm-hmm. So there's a fight that ensues, and he gets away, and then we have to go through all of that, him trying to get away. I'm just kind of like, is he going to start kicking behind?
Yeah.
When he going to start kicking behind?
And I think that for 2 points, and it's both those points about the kitchen scene. I think that when they released the trailer, people on Twitter saw the kitchen fight scene, the John Wick comparison, and ran with it. And the assumption built up, even for me, the assumption built up that this was going to be an action film through and through. And it's not an action film. It's like a action
thriller.
It's more of like a thriller.
I'm trying to find a comparison. It's kind of like Enemy of the State.
Yeah.
Where Will Smith's character wasn't like a trained anything. He was just trying to get by, or he was just on his own mission, but he had to go through all these dangerous situations to get out of it.
It's a crime thriller with like splashes of action.
Yeah.
Here and
then
there.
The first half for sure.
Towards the end of the movie. But yeah, the first half is just build up. We're with him. Even though we don't start at the beginning of his plan, we're with him through like the big
infancy
important part of his plan, which is getting into the club. So yeah, 45 minutes of a 2-hour movie of just build up. You also had pointed out when we were leaving the theater, which makes sense. You said that he didn't really speak that much. Like he didn't have that much dialogue up until he got the job at Queenie's Club, and I think that's why that first half of the movie felt so long.
Yeah, because he's a loner.
Because he doesn't talk to that many people.
Right, he doesn't talk to a lot of people. He only talks to people when he don't have no friends. He don't have no lover, none of that. So it's very little dialogue. You're just watching things play out.
Because like in a different movie, they would have had him paired with a side character that would have been with him throughout the whole movie.
Right.
So he could have talked to them about what they were doing so that the audience knows. But with a lot of this movie, it's a lot of like long stares while he's watching somebody do something.
Right. And we're piecing together as he's moving about the movie. Oh, this is what he's doing. Oh, this is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of that could have been trimmed. I feel like they were also trying to give us the experience of being in this Indian city and what it's like and the culture and the people. So I get that aspect, but it did feel a little slow in those parts.
I give him props for doing the show don't tell. Like instead of narrating everything that he did, they kind of showed us, but you have to do that with
a little
good pacing.
Right. Exactly. So that's kind of the only thing I didn't really like. I did, even though the movie, like you said, was on the rails, I still did enjoy it. When he was when he was trying to run away the first time after he failed killing Goon Head in Charge. I'm going to forget his name. Sorry. Rana. That was a little tense because there's at least one scene where he gets caught by the police and the police are shady. So he's not getting no help here. And he's in the back, he's handcuffed in the back of this police paddy wagon, and I'm like, okay, they about to go off, and I just knew for a fact we was getting a torture scene at some point, which we didn't. Thank you for that. I hate torture scenes.
Yeah.
But he escapes, and then he's like running on rooftops, and he goes into this other brothel, and some guy mad that the police came to the brothel, so he about to get beat up. So there's a lot of tension of him trying to escape. So it's not action because he's fighting people, is action because he's trying to get away.
Yeah, I don't think chase sequences are chase sequences.
Yes.
That's not an action sequence. The boxing
Oh, I forgot about the
matches. I think we saw like 3 boxing matches.
Yes.
Those don't count as action sequences because boxing is sport. That means every sport movie would be an action film.
Right.
So yeah, I liked the chase sequence, even though it was kind of short.
Yeah. It moved and grooved though.
The action sequences that were really good. The brothel fight where he was fighting the guy with the hatchet.
Oh yes.
And he kept biting his nose.
He bit his nose off.
Yeah, it was very visceral and gory.
Lots of blood.
Lots of blood.
This is rated R because there are lots of blood.
Lots of blood, lots of wounds. He bites a guy's nose off. We get very close to the guy's face where he has no nose.
Lots of stabbing.
There's not very much gunfire. Which somebody had, it was funny because somebody sat next to like 2 seats down from me in a movie theater. And they were like, well, nobody has a gun? I'm like, yeah, because it's not America.
Yeah, very good point.
A lot of people, I've been watching Tokyo Vice and it's in Tokyo and they don't use guns.
Yeah,
they use knives and swords.
Another reason why this is not John Wick. There's minimal use of guns. The gun he actually buys to kill head goon in charge, that gets tossed quite quickly.
Yeah.
And they hand to hand combating most through this movie, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. And getting stabbed is worse.
Yeah.
Or getting hatcheted.
Just kill me instantly.
Yes.
Don't be like poking me in different parts and bite my nose off.
Because they had knives, but they were like switchblades, like thin knives.
Yeah, and they be poking you.
You
like,
have to poke, you have to stab somebody like a couple times to get him in
there were several scenes of people getting stabbed repeatedly and blood just going everywhere.
Up close from a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. So I guess the chase scenes and then were good. The level of gore was Kill Bill level, I guess you could say, which don't bother me. But if you are sensitive to that might get you a little queasy. But that was good and well done. It didn't look fake. It didn't look cheap. It looked well. Whatever set design, I don't even know what you call fake blood in a movie, what category that falls into, but it was well done.
Okay.
The fake blood section people on the set, good job. Y'all did a real good job with that.
Yeah, I'll say the only thing that I didn't care for was some of the pacing.
Okay.
Some of the
Fair
pacing,
enough.
it felt slow at parts. It definitely felt slow in the beginning. It slowed down for a little in the middle.
Okay.
We're in the spoiler section.
Yep.
So after he botches the first assassination attempt,
Real bad.
he gets
Real bad.
He gets wounded. I think he gets like sniped, and
I think he gets shot off a
by
roof.
like a helicopter.
Yeah,
sniper or
something like that.
And we reach the second half of the movie, the middle chunk, where he is basically rescued by the trans community in India. The trans community, they are sectioned off to a certain part of the city, and they say that the leader says that, we get to be here and we're left alone. His name is Alpha.
Yes.
But he says, we're all here. We're a community. We come together. We protect each other, and we get left alone because the law finds us unsavory.
Yes.
So they don't bother us. So we're here. You can stay here with us as long as you need. Heal up, rest up.
Because they basically take care of his gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
So we see a little bit of a cut scene of them healing him and, patching him up or whatnot. And they don't show us where this town is in relation to the major city.
No.
So I guess we assume he just floats down this really nasty river that he falls in. I was like, how did he get there? But, we're going to suspend belief. It's fine.
So he's there with the trans community, and we get like a couple. This is when it slows down. And I was fine with it slowing down here, but I think it was slow for just a little longer than necessary.
Okay.
So we get scenes with him and Alpha, who's like the leader of the trans community here, this like group of people. And they are talking about, he's telling him about, the reason we are here, we believe that, men and women can exist in the same body. The rest of the country does not believe that. So that's why they sectioned us off here. And, we feel displaced, and we bless this God. So if you stay here with us, you heal up, maybe the God will speak to you before you need to continue your journey on to, at this point, Alpha doesn't know what his mission is yet.
Right. Correct.
So we get a scene where Alpha gives him, and I have in my note, this reminds me of the heart-shaped herb, but it turned out not to be. I
literally have Black Panther in my note that says Black Panther. You said Simba, but it was actually more like Mulan, but go ahead.
So Alpha takes him to I put in my note, the tree of Shiva.
Okay.
And basically Alpha tells him, like, this was a tree that was believed to be planted by the god Shiva, who's the destroyer of worlds. And under this tree, there's this toxin. This herb.
Comes out of a seed or something, I think?
There's like this seed or something that grows at the bottom of this tree, and it's a toxin, and it kills people mostly. But if you're really strong, it can send you on like a spiritual journey.
That is very heart-shaped herby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the heart-shaped herb always runs the risk of, because it sends you to the other side.
Yeah.
So it always runs and they bury you. So it always runs the risk of you dying.
You're not coming back. Just in case, we already down there. So, you're fine.
So, and then we get a scene of...
We get the full flashback of what happened.
It's an extended flashback of his mother being killed. I thought that was very effective.
I liked it. It was good storytelling. It was good visuals. They very much so. There is another, when I was looking up trivia, said that there was originally supposed to be a rape scene. I don't know if it was in this particular part of the movie or not.
And that's what I feared it was going to.
I also was holding my breath. Like, do we have to? Like, I thought that the head goon in charge was going to rape his mom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the scene that they cut out was that scene.
Yeah. Luckily, he just beat her to death.
Yeah.
So
yes,
we didn't fully avoid it, but
right. But I'm glad that they did not put that in there because that's two things: torture and rape. We don't need it.
Yeah.
So yes, but I do like the flashback scene because it was well done. It was concise. It wasn't too long, and because throughout the movie we're seeing bits and pieces of the flashback, and I'm kind of like, are y'all gonna show us all?
And it was awful enough to where, okay, I see why you're going through all the extent of doing
yes.
it. In most movies nowadays, whenever the parent is killed, they do it like Bruce Wayne, or they do it like Harry Potter, where it's a very PG-13 murder.
Yeah,
and it's right. Like, oh, okay, it's sad, but it's not.
You don't need to be burning down the world.
Yeah, they like beat her to death and then like set her on fire, and I feel like she was still alive.
She seemed like she wasn't all the way
when they set her on fire.
Yeah, I don't think she was all the way gone.
So I was like, oh yeah, I see why you devoted your entire life. I mean, I would have devoted my entire life to getting revenge on people that killed my parents, but in this way, like, absolutely.
You just would have slipped them a little cyanide on the side or something. Yeah.
In this way, it's like, no, I have to kill you and you have to feel it.
Right. Yeah, the flashbacks scene, when we finally get the whole thing, is rewarding, I guess, because we get little bits and pieces of it throughout the whole lead up, and I'm kind of like, when we gonna get all of it all together? So that was nice.
All right, so let's do anything that we could change if we could, and then we can do our random notes.
Okay. Outside of tightening the pace in the beginning, I don't think I would have changed anything.
Yeah, we were talking about I don't fully feel like it needed to be 2 hours long.
Yeah.
But I also struggle with what I would have cut, which probably means that this time is justified. I think that the build-up could have been maybe a little bit shorter. I wouldn't have cut out anything with the trans community because I think that it was done really well.
It was a good transition.
And the payoff at the end.
Right.
So basically, after staying with the trans community and being healed by them,
unless he trains.
Right. They assist him with his training so he can get better at martial arts. He takes his training back to the boxing ring. Where he can win all the money this time. And he does. And he gives it to the trans community because they are now about to be displaced. The police have finally come for them and they want to kick them out of their home. So
somebody actually gets beat up, I think.
Yeah.
And that's when they're kind of like, oh, it's about to be over for us because now they're at our doorstep.
So one of the members of the community falls victim to a hate crime.
Basically.
Trying to take down a eviction notice is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it was like a piece of paper or something.
He gives them the money, so the trans community gets to stay where they are. And as a thank you, they assist him in the final fight.
He become their kill squad at the end of the movie.
They become ninjas at the end of the movie. So the movie ends where Dev Patel goes back to Queenie.
Yes.
And we kind of just get like back-to-back action sequences.
This is where it turns into
the trailer.
Yes, exactly. This is where it turns into a full-on action movie, is when he leaves the community, helps them out, recruits them, and then he goes back to town and he's like, now I'm officially Monkey Man for real.
Yeah, this is, I mean, and this is honest, this is the last 20 minutes of the movie.
It is the last 20 minutes.
The last 20 minutes of the movie is when it fully turns into like an action film.
Yep.
So we're with him while he's fighting his way up through the hotel. He's fighting through all these guards and hired gunmen. And then while it looks like he's outnumbered.
It does. I thought my note was going to be, oh, this is Kill Bill for real. Because when the crazy 88 show up, I was like, oh, we about to get our Kill Bill.
And I was down for that. I'm like, okay, I
was just wondering how he was going to get out of it.
It's the last 20 minutes of the movie. I was like, you know what? If we're completely suspending our disbelief and now he's Beatrix Kiddo.
Right. That's what I thought we were getting.
I'm down for it. Fine, let's do this. But
that's not what we get.
What happens is, instead of Kill Bill, we get Mulan.
Yes.
Because in the end of Mulan...
Or I guess any other action movie where this would have happened.
At the end of Mulan, when she is about to fight the leader of the Huns and she feels like she's outnumbered and she doesn't have anybody, the other people from her platoon, dressed in drag, show up to help her fight and save the Emperor. And that's exactly what happens here.
It was good.
The trans community comes out. They dress in drag so that they can get into the club because they're disguised as dancers.
Right. And I was actually typing a note down and you was like, is that the trans community? And I looked up and I missed it at first. And then they did their little jingle, jingle, jingle across the parking garage. I was like, that's them.
Because while he's fighting in the club, we get little clips of, we can't see their faces.
Right.
We just see like shadowy figures that are wearing like these sequined gowns running through parking lots like ninjas.
Okay.
And is that where we at?
29 minutes.
No, we get these flashes of them running through the parking garage like they're ninjas. And
but they're jangling.
I'm like, ching, 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 I'm watching the movie. I'm like, well, he only befriended like one girl.
Right.
Who wasn't like, we didn't even mention her because she didn't really play like
one of the
part.
Prostitutes.
Yeah. He only befriended
barely
like,
befriended her.
Yeah. One of the prostitutes. So we were like, okay, well, who are these random women running through the parking lot?
The goon squad.
And then they jump out the shadows and kill a man.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait a minute. Are these the trans? And that's exactly what it was. It was the trans community that showed up.
And they turned up and turned out. I mean,
yeah.
They turned up.
I thought that was really good. I was like, oh, this is different. This is fresh. This is interesting. It doesn't shoehorn them in for just a message.
Yeah, very true.
It wasn't like, oh.
They had a purpose.
Yeah. And even if they were shoehorned in for just a message, I would have been fine with that. But they gave them like a message, and I mean, they gave them like a purpose that was.
Right. It followed the line with the story.
And they seeded it in earlier when Alpha is given Bobby his backstory. Alpha is like, I was just like you,
right?
And Bobby gives them the money, and he's like, and he writes them a note and references back to something Alpha said earlier in the movie. It says, "It's time to remember who you are," and I think that's what convinced them to go help.
Okay. Yeah. I from the moment he gets to the trans community and on is where I really like the movie, and then once he comes back to the city and turns up and starts his. From the trailer, the kitchen scene was probably the best scene, honestly, and that's in the trailer. And you made
that was the best choreo.
You made a point of like they shouldn't have put that in the trailer because you had already seen it, and I was kind of like, oh, we've already seen. I guess I don't know if we saw the full thing because I stopped watching stuff about the movie.
You saw everything. You only saw the beginning and everything that happened in the kitchen. It ends right after he kills the last dude in the kitchen. Oh,
see, that's unfortunate. I feel like they should have just put a little piece of that because it was a good scene. It was probably the best scene in the movie, but you had already seen it if you've seen the trailer.
They should have, if they wanted to advertise the action, they should have released the clip of the hatchet fight.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a significant part of the movie. It was just like a side fight.
Right.
But it didn't spoil like the third act of the
film. Right.
Yeah.
Very, very good point. Very good point. So that's what we liked and didn't like. And then we were talking about what we would change. So yeah, I wouldn't have changed much outside of maybe cutting that trailer to where it didn't show the best fight of the movie because you would have already seen it.
Yeah, I was just saying that even though the middle part of the movie where he was with the trans community while he was healing was probably the slowest part of the movie, I don't think I would have cut it because
it was significant.
It was significant. A lot of the messaging about remembering who he was, a lot of the messaging about fighting for his mom.
Yeah. Yep.
And having to fight against oppression. I thought that was really good. And it actually had a payoff at the end.
And we got the whole flashback scene, which was well done.
Yes. All right. So you want to throw in some random notes?
What do I have? He turns into Gandalf the White. So he takes another movie reference that this movie has. He takes his monkey outfit and dumps it in bleach. And when he takes his monkey mask, dumps it in bleach. And when he pulls it out, the hair on the monkey is white. And I was like, oh, look, he's getting off the white coming off the heel.
Yeah, because he finally cleans off the monkey mask, which, ew.
Yeah.
Because I thought the mask was just brown. Did he bleach it or did he clean it?
Listen,
because it was a completely different color.
At the very least, the hair turned white. That'd be gross because he was bleeding in that mask. He turns into Gandalf the White in the movie, which I thought was funny because anytime a character like does a transformation and he turns to white, like either the hair or the clothes, it always takes me back to Lord of the Rings when Gandalf comes over the cliff to save everybody. So that was one note. And then I called him Teenage John Wick in the kitchen. When he starts fighting in the kitchen from the scene from the trailer, he's teenage John Wick.
I mean, he's only 33, and Keanu Reeves is much older, so he does.
There we go.
Compared to Keanu, because he's in the same outfit.
He's got a suit on.
So Compared to Keanu Reeves, he does look like an infant.
Right. There's no guns once again.
Yeah.
So it's good hand in
all
hand.
hand to hand.
And it looks good, but it was definitely like, okay, now we got to the John Wick part reference that everybody was trying to shoe in. So yeah.
My notes are mostly like not movie critiques, but just like funny movie gripes that I have while I watch them.
Okay.
One was rich people love cheap phone cases. Queenie had like the cheapest Shein looking bedazzled phone case, and it's like, girl, you're sitting on $1 million and you have this like crap. I just don't have a phone case.
Right, you couldn't go to the Kate Spade section in the Apple store and got you a real phone
rich,
case.
You can just buy another iPhone.
It was very cheap looking.
And right under that, I said I like Queenie. Another movie gripe I had is when you are going to kill somebody, do it.
Oh yes,
just do it. Don't. Here's the thing. There's a scene in the film when he's going to kill Rana. And he follows him to the bathroom.
He locks him in there.
Doesn't know that there's a guy taking a poo in the stall.
Because he didn't bother to check.
That's here nor there. He could have also killed him too. Everybody, I think they've established everybody here is going to get what they need.
Yeah, okay.
A bullet. Right. And instead of shooting Rana, he surprises him.
Yeah.
By holding him at gunpoint. And Rana's like, okay, what are you doing? And instead of...
he really does.
He does the Princess Bride thing where instead of just shooting him in the face, he does the whole, you killed my family, prepare to die speech. And it's like, no, just shoot him. Pew, pew. Because you know what? Dead people aren't going to remember the speech you gave them right before you shoot them in the face. So just shoot them in the face.
They're going to be dead.
You can monologue to them after they're dead because they are dead. So there's no chance of them like interrupting you and getting the upper hand.
I would say leave a message for the people who find the dead man.
Leave a note. But if you're going to, don't kill people. But if you are and you're a movie character,
right, just
shoot them and you can talk about you can tell them why you shot them to their spirit. Because
do it with haste.
Yes, exactly. Do it quickly. Also, I didn't like the fact that if you are in a fight to the death and you've gotten the upper hand, don't run. Finish it.
Yeah. So he runs and then he tries to jump out a window, but the window's like plexiglass or plastic or whatever. He can't get out of it. So he has to take an alternate route. And in the time that the guards show up, he could have went back and taken the toilet that had broken apart and bashed both them fools in the head. Which I thought he was going to do.
And you still would have had to run for your life. You still would have got shot. You still would have
had the police chase.
Still would have gotten saved by the trans community.
Yeah.
But you would have
killed somebody.
Put a dent somewhere. You have made no progress in your mission so far, and I wish you would have done that.
He still would have had to go up the food chain to get to Indian Jesus dude.
But those are the only random notes I had. Those just like random movie gripes.
There's one thing before we get to who would like this movie. The very end, so the end of the movie ends kind of how you would think. He gets to the cult leader. I call him something different every time I mention him. But he gets to the main villain, Indian Jesus. And he is like, okay, I'm about to kill you. Now, one thing we both agreed to is that once again, we get a monologue from the villain. And he's like, I don't even remember what he said, to be very honest.
He does this twice.
Yeah. So he's like talking. And we both would have wanted him to just stab the man in a jugular as he was talking.
He gets to Baba Shakti, and even I don't remember what Baba Shakti was
talking about
because I tuned out. Because I was like,
he's talking, and we're just like, just kill him. You came all this way. You fought very good. Just kill that man. So he finishes the speech, and while he's finishing his speech, the helicopter shows up to take the man away because he's like, I'm actually not dying. Actually,
yeah, he's like, I'm going to coming to pick me up.
Right, my ride is here. My Uber is here. I've got to go. So he stabs Bobby, twists his knife, and I'm like, okay, Bobby's obviously not gonna make it out of here. Bobby flips the script, does a little kung fu or whatever, and ends up killing. What's his name again? Baba Shakti stabs him in the forehead, kind of like the where the red dot would typically be on his head. He stabs him in that spot and kills him. Actually, he stabs him multiple times first.
Yeah, he stabs him like in the chest and in the neck a couple times. Yeah. And Baba Shakti's like, don't kill me because the people need me. I'm like, sir, you're gone. You're bleeding out.
You're dead. You're coughing up blood.
Yeah, you're leaving here today.
It's gone. Right. This is your last day on earth.
Yeah. Stop stabbing you. The damage is done.
Right. And I think it just played to the fact that even though he was this supposedly like fake wise and all-knowing leader, and God, I love God and God loves me. Like, he was clearly not ready to go because he knew where he was going after the fact.
Yeah, he's like your typical skeevy cult leader.
Yes, very much so. So he dies, and one thing I would have changed, I'm backing up a section a bit, is that we already knew Dev Patel's character was going to die once he got stabbed and he was like mortally wounded. Fine, whatever, that's cool. I wish he would have killed that man before the monologue. That would have made it different to where
applauded.
To where, like, I don't care what you got to say. It don't matter.
Because
I'm killing you right now.
We spend so much of the movie listening to this Baba Shakti's random speeches.
That
it would have been
nothing.
chef's kiss if right before he gave his last speech, Dev Patel was like, bam, and took him right out.
Yeah.
Because we've spent enough time listening to you talk.
Right,
and he wasn't saying anything of importance because you are going to die here on today.
Right, it don't even matter. So the movie ends with both of the characters, the protagonist and the antagonist, dying.
That's where it gets Man on Fire-esque.
There it is, another movie. But it's kind of obvious that that's what's going to happen. I guess I'm glad that they ended it because that way, he died a good death. Essentially.
Yeah, because as he's fighting his way through the club, he gets wounded. And when he finally kills Baba Shakti, the police, who are already corrupt, have arrived. So he wasn't going to be able to fight his way out.
Yeah, he wasn't going to make it out of that building because he's at like the top floor at this point, and he's not a superhero.
And they had plastered his face and name all over the news.
Correct.
Because of his first botched assassination attempt. So.
You were right. You're right. So I like that. I wouldn't have changed the ending. Like, it's cool that the main character died, but I wish he would have just cut that man head off before we got to the monologue.
Absolutely.
So who would like this movie though?
I think it's a pretty broad.
Oh, that's what I had. Gladiator ending.
Yeah, that's
Gladiator.
very true.
You said Man on Fire. I think
instead
Gladiator.
Of seeing his wife and kid, he sees his mom towards the end. And then it ends with like the whole narration at the end. So yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of movie references here, but good ones. All good ones.
It has a pretty wide audience. I think this is a good film, an enjoyable film for everybody that's an adult. I just don't think it needs to be seen by children.
Speaking of, we had kids in our theater.
Yeah, we had 3 probably
less than 10
elementary school age, like less than 10, but we're talking about like when they put the little coats on, they had like little baby coats. Their coats were like little tiny coats.
I was disturbed by that because this movie is not for kids.
This movie has a lot of violence, a lot of sex, a lot of sexual assault,
drugs,
a lot of cocaine. So much cocaine.
Yeah, somebody even sniffed cocaine that wasn't cocaine. It was bleach.
We're talking Pulp Fiction levels of cocaine in this movie.
Down votes to the adults who brought their kids to this movie. So we don't recommend this to kids.
And tried to run out before the lights came on.
Too late.
So that people would
We heard them in the theater during the movie.
Yeah, garbage. But yeah, I think anybody that likes action films, anybody that likes dramas, or any of those films that we mentioned earlier as references.
Gladiator, Man on Fire,
Kill Bill,
Black Panther,
Batman,
Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of all of those things in it, used in a different way that it doesn't feel like you're watching the same movie.
Right.
But it's fun because you can reference where they got that inspiration from.
And it's not a knockoff. It's more
it doesn't take away from it at all.
It's more like an inspiration.
Yes. It's homage.
There it is.
Yes.
Favorite line or scene?
Favorite line or scene? I don't really have a favorite scene, but a funny scene is at the end.
Oh, okay.
When he has killed most of the people in the club with the assistance of the trans community, and Queenie comes out of nowhere with a gun, and she is pissed.
I mean, she lighted up, bang, 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 and you forget.
She takes out at least 2 of the girls.
Forgot she was even a character in the movie at this point because everybody that was originally there before he showed up scattered and left. So we ain't thinking nothing else about the bystanders. And she show up like, no.
She at least kills 2 of our trans warriors.
Off the bat. I mean,
like
she comes.
Immediately.
When you say guns a-blazing, her picture was next to it in this movie. She was hot. But she ends up dying. So
she ends up dying, but
like she deserves.
I did like the fact that she came in with like blaze of glory for her final fight because she knew it was over.
And she lost her finger afterwards, which she uses to get up to the elevator. Which I was like,
chopped off her finger, but I did like that.
Yeah. Favorite scene for me would be the kitchen scene where he's fighting from the trailer. It was just what I was kind of waiting for the whole movie. And when we finally get it, I was like, oh, this is good. And there's no guns, so it's all hand-to-hand combat. And we see his progress from when he was fighting in the beginning of the movie.
It's much cleaner.
Yes. Obviously, his trans community village transformation did him very well.
Absolutely.
Because he was kicking butt. So that was my favorite. You've probably already seen it if you've seen the trailer, but there is an extended session. And then the whole scene right after that in the ballroom, the dinner room or whatever, where he's just kicking everybody's butt. Him and his goon squad is kicking everybody's butt. Those are my favorites.
So final words about the movie and our rating. I think it was a good movie. I had a good time. I would give it 4 out of 5 Nicole Kidmans.
Okay.
I would. I would only take away a Nicole Kidman for some pacing issues.
Okay.
And some camera shot issues.
I would agree with you. At first I was going to say 3, but as we've talked about it and digested it and chewed on it a little bit, I would give it a 4 out of 5 because also this is his first movie, like his directorial debut. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Everybody's first movie.
This is a great directorial debut.
Everybody's first movie don't be this.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that Jordan Peele saw this and saved it, I think showed that he saw something in it that was like, oh, people need to see this on the theater. And I think that was a good decision.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say worth the theater.
All right. So that is our review for Monkey Man.
You going to forget.
Uh-oh.
We forgot last time. You were like, what are we watching next? You gonna ask what we watching next?
Oh, yeah. What are we watching next?
Civil War.
Oh, yeah. Civil War. I don't know why I instantly thought of Captain America. Because another one?
That's funny. I actually just watched, not Civil War, but
Ooh, that's going to mess up the SEO.
Good. That means we're going to get all the Marvel stuff.
Because there's Civil War, Captain America.
Yes.
There's the actual Civil War.
Correct.
Now there's this fictitious Civil War. So
bring it all our way. We know
very
that traffic.
interesting for Google.
We want all that traffic. So next week we'll be watching Alex Garland's Civil War movie, which has gotten mixed reviews. I think people thought it was going to be something, but it ended up being not as political as they thought. So we'll see. We'll let you guys know.
I think the assumption is that it's going to be message heavy, and I think it's going to be more like
an action movie.
District 9.
I'm okay with that.
District 9 was great.
I think about that movie very rarely on occasion and just be like, man,
that ending.
Where is District 10? I need to know what happened to
that
him.
Ending, yeah.
But anyway, that's our show. So thanks for listening. If you like our show, please share it, especially if you're on
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. Google Podcasts is gone, so you can't rate us there. But any podcast app that you're listening to that you can leave us a review on, we highly appreciate it. You can also go on our website, vaguelynerdypodcast.com, and leave us a review or voicemail that we can play on the show. You can follow us on Twitter at vaguelynerdypod or IG at vaguelynerdypodcast. We are also on TikTok and Facebook if you are into those type of things. And you can also reach us at vaguelynerdypodcast@gmail.com.
All right. Until next time.
Peace.